Okay, back on the Morning Brew for Monday morning. What is it? The 29th of April. Man, month is gone. All right, we're back with our special guest, a friend of the show. He operates a very successful computer security company here in Albuquerque. Mark Fidel joins us here on the big round table on the Morning Brew. Hi, Mark.
Larry, good morning. Aaron, good morning. Thanks for having me.
I should mention the name of your company. It's called CAANES.
Yes.
And it's an acronym for Computational Analysis and Network Enterprise Solutions.
We need to hire you. That's excellent.
Thank you very much.
That's great.
Well, the Living Social story, Aaron's account, is it safe?
Yeah, I got that email, and you said you received it too.
I received the same email.
Do we need to be worried?
The point of the email, and I looked through it to see what they're asking you to do. They're asking you to change your password at their site, and they said that no credit card information was even attacked or taken or attempted to be taken. What they took were passwords, which could be the closest step to then taking credit card information. So if you have a Living Social account, go through the steps, change your password into something that's more difficult. And then that's another issue, is what's an easy password for you to remember but hard for somebody else? All right, anybody there who uses the same password over and over from multiple sites?
Yes.
Don't do that, all right? One way to using a good password is a string of words that you know, phrases that you know, but are nonsensical when they're put together, and a space in between. So, giraffe, blue, Chevrolet. Spaces in between, that's a pretty tough password to figure out, but maybe an easy one to remember. Those are some ideas.
Yeah, and I didn't know you could put spaces in a password.
You can. Typically you can, yes.
Really?
And some sites force you to use special characters, the shift numeric characters, capital letters, etc. And most sites will tell you if your password is inadequate for their requirements.
I see some of them they have a little coaching thing that says the password is weak or strong or moderate or something like that.
Exactly.
And I guess I'm one of those people who doesn't do it as much as I should. And when I got that email, I was just like, oh yeah, I heard on the news. I didn't even think about changing my password. So.
The one reason to change the password is if you are like a lot of people and reuse the same password site to site to site, then that may be an excellent way for somebody to grab your password from that site and then try other sites with your username exactly and go to town on it. So,
well, walk me through that for a second. Is that what a hacker would typically do? If they can hack in, figure out your password or your PIN or something, then they go try and get in all the rest of your stuff? Absolutely.
Last year there was a hack at the government website where you can check your credit report once a year for free. And and that site is actually pretty secure. If you've ever used it, they ask you a series of questions that only you should know the answers to, and they're pretty complicated. But the thing is that gives you access to 3 credit reporting agencies. The questions are the same for each of the reporting credit agencies. So if somebody guesses it for credit agency A, they've understood the answers for B and C. And so from that perspective, then it's a great idea if there's been a hack to change the password. If a site allows for 2-factor authentication, meaning it'll challenge you to say, all right, now enter the passcode we just sent to your cell phone. All right, that's the second factor of authentication. If somebody's hacking into your account, Larry, and they're saying, I'm Larry, and here's the password that I have, but they don't have your cell phone, they're not going to get into your account.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so
that
it's
extra step.
Exactly, right. Google does that with their, you can set it up for email. A variety of sites now do it.
And how important is it to do passwords on your phone as well?
Very, very much so. I happen to have an iPhone. The iPhone defaults to no password to get into it. You can set up a 4-digit password, which there's 9,999 combinations of that, or you can set up a more complex password. And I personally set up a more complex password. And I've set the phone that if there's 10 failed attempts, the phone locks up and can't be accessed.
My mom doesn't have any lock on hers, and she's like, oh, well, someone's going to get my phone. I'm like, well, put a lock on it. Like, it's as simple as that.
I saw this stat, and pins are very important too.
Yes.
there was a study of 3.4 million pins by Data Genetics. Are you familiar with them?
I've heard of them, yes.
Nearly 27% of pins could be guessed correctly after just 20 tries.
Again, you have the right computing horsepower behind the effort.
Sure.
And there's only 9,999 usually obviously in a four-digit pin. And a lot of people, right, who uses 1, 2, 3, 4. Not me, but you know, 0, 0, 0, 0, exactly. Dates of birth, month, day. So if you know that information about somebody, you might be able to guess their pin relatively easily, or just brute force it through. And if the system will let you challenge that many times, you'll eventually have the time to do it.
There are programs that would generate a bunch of pins, right? And they just keep churning them up.
Yep, and trying.
And trying.
Exactly.
And 20 tries.
And usually the pin is associated with another form of identification, though. When you go to the ATM card, it's the fact you have the card plus the pin. The two-factor authentication on websites, it's the fact you have the username and password correct plus the pin. And so it's that long string of information that protects you, not just the pin itself.
Right. And for businesses, it's a very important factor, especially if you're dealing with clients' information.
Absolutely.
What should businesses be doing to make sure that they're safeguarding their clients' information?
Depending on the type of information will determine what level of security they need to put in force. If you're dealing with protected health information, personally identifiable financial information, there's federal legislation out there that protects folks for breaches of data in those instances. And so if you're ever transporting information electronically, it should be encrypted. When it's stored, it should be encrypted. Shouldn't be sending emails out with social security numbers in the clear text email. All of these things. And so depending on the industry that the business is in will determine what rules they have to follow. Typically, it's a matter of you should just encrypt the information when it's stored in your possession, encrypt it when it's being transported, and suggest to your clients that they do the same on their end.
Right. Okay.
Now, employees at businesses, if they're using a company computer, what's some do's and don'ts there?
Assume that all of the data, all of the information that the employee is putting on that computer belongs to the business owner. So if you're taking personal emails, if you're sending personal emails, those actually become within the ownership of the employer. And so what I'm getting to is that if there's a lawsuit at some point, then that data can be pulled into the lawsuit. And not sure anybody would really want their personal emails to be pulled into a courtroom that's unrelated. So in other words, don't do it.
Yeah.
All right. The flip side is a lot of people who work at home for their business, and they're using they're using their employer's data on their home computer. I've seen home computers subject to discovery orders in lawsuits, where if you can establish that the person on Thursdays and Fridays typically works out of the home, then I think we can establish a good way to get to that computer.
That's amazing.
So,
I've never been aware of that.
Yes.
That's good to know.
Happened.
There's a system where you can access your work computer from home. I forget what that's called.
And that's different.
Is that a different thing?
Yeah, you're coming in remotely to a work computer, and that's different.
Okay.
Because you're actually using the computing resources at work. You're just using your home computer to get to them.
I see.
What I'm saying is if you're actually working at home using that home computer for work purposes, separate the two. Even to the extent of using cell phones for personal versus business use on that level.
So if you do have a personal phone and you use it for business as well?
If the attorney on the other side can establish that there's text messages that are both that are business related on that cell phone, that probably is going to be subject to a discovery order. And we are asked to grab text messages from cell phones all the time when we're working for law firms or attorneys in various cases. It just depends.
Real fast, what is RiskSense? It's a new software that's coming out. Do we know about that?
Yes, we're developing RiskSense right now. We actually use it in-house. When we come into a company and we do a variety of network scans and application scans to determine how vulnerable they are, these scanners are putting out lots and lots of data. And we don't want to leave the client with reams and reams of data or drives full of data that are difficult to understand. So our RiskSense product actually analyzes the output from all these scanners and provides a dashboard view of the vulnerabilities and risks in an organization's computing environment. And so we're going to be making this available for our clients' use so that the clients who run their own scanners can just upload the data into RiskSense and have an analysis done anytime they want without having to necessarily engage us for a full-blown assessment.
That's great.
Wow. We have Mark's website up, and you can contact his company here in Albuquerque, and CAANES is the name of it. And Mark, is always fascinating to talk to you.
Very interesting stuff.
It really is.
Thank you. I'm really proud of you guys, and I'm really happy for your show.
Thank you.
This is really
Great
great.
to see you again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good seeing you.
Hey, there's Mark Fidel, President and CEO of CAANES, a computer security firm here in Albuquerque. We'll be back in a moment with more Morning Brew right after this.